everyone. Welcome back to another TalkTruth Series. I'm your host, Shanique Davis. Welcome to another live series. I'm happy to see you all. Persons are already here commenting. Actually started 30 seconds early. You become one stop. Anyways, I'm getting right into the show. So, guys, welcome again. Please like and share the video to as many persons that you can. Remember to leave a comment so I can know that you're here. Tell somebody, tag somebody so they can jump on. Remember, we always have a surprise for you and the prize. So stay tuned for that. Say hey so I can know that you're here. For persons who do not have a YouTube and do not have a Facebook account, remember we have a YouTube account specifically for persons who do not have Facebook, and it's still the same name, Talk Truth Series. Go over and like and share. Subscribe. Subscription is optional. We just want you to participate in the show and learn and be blessed. So, without further ado, I'm gonna start off with a brief word of prayer. Then I'm gonna bring our guest on tonight. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. God, you are awesome. You are wonderful. You are excellent, God. Even if the world does not praise you, God, you are still God and you remain God all by yourself. There is nothing and no one that can be compared to you, God. You are the Alpha and the Omega. You are the bright and morning star, God. You are our provider, our keeper. You keep keeping us. You keep preserving us each day. God, we thank you for the gift that you've given us, the precious breath of life. We thank you for your spirit, which is our enabler and our comforter. We thank you for counsel. We thank you, God, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We thank you, God, for the people that are here to learn and to be ministered to. I pray, God, that tonight your people will fellowship in your presence. I pray that God fellowship will be sweet. I pray God that as we open up our mouths, you will fill them with words, and I pray everything will be done to your glory and your honor. Remember those who will catch the replay. I pray that their hearts will be touched by the message. That God, you will stir something in them, God, that will cause them to want to learn more, want to know more, if it's even to seek you more. And so, God, we thank you for these and other mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you again, guys, for coming out. Welcome to Talk Truth Live Series. It's another Tuesday night, and tonight we're going to be doing something unorthodox, of course. We have an author, but you know, the message is a bit different and it's exciting. So let me tell you more about it. So tonight we have a special guest online with us. She is an author. She's a mental health professional. She is an advocate with extensive experience in the criminal justice system. Yes, you heard me right. Throughout the years, she has noticed that the victims of injustice have no idea what their rights are, who their advocates are, and how to arm themselves with the knowledge that as citizens, they can avoid falling prey to a system created to destroy them. As an advocate for mental health patients in jail without medication, her message is simply this: to share the importance of knowing our rights, the laws, our history, and the policies and procedures of the criminal justice system. She believes that this is especially important if you are someone who happens to find yourself interacting with the police frequently. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring online to you or introduce to you Mrs. Nadia Davis Brown. Welcome,
Thank
Nadia.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so just say hi to the viewers. If I missed it,
Hello.
tell us a little bit more about yourself if I missed anything, and then we can get into tonight's proceedings.
I don't think you missed anything. Actually, and my husband is watching. Davis is my married name. Brown is um, um, my maiden name. So it's Nadia Brown Davis. But you didn't miss anything. So yeah, I'm a mental health professional. But I've always worked in the criminal justice system. So like never worked in hospitals or anything like that. So all of my experience has been in the jail prison court system, um, but with mental health patients. So really interesting experience.
Must be. Did you choose mental health patients, or was that just something that you felt really connected to? You felt you had a gift there to use it.
I think it chose me. I started off as an officer actually,
Mm-hmm.
and then I after doing that type work and seeing kind of what was going on, I ended up going back to school and getting my degree in psychology, and then um, real just realizing that it was the majority of the people in the system. It was more mental health patients than just criminals,
Yeah, yeah.
actually. So
All right.
um, I guess that's kind of how where it came from. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to, I don't know if it was nosiness or just wanting to understand why or how or the reasoning. And so I think it chose me, but I love what I do. So that's kind of how it happened. Um, and I've been doing it ever since.
Okay. All right. So comments, persons are saying that I'm low. I'm doing a sound check now. Let me know if you can hear me or if I need to shout. Tell me quick and fast. Quickly. If you can still hear me, if I'm still low, or do I need to shout? So in the meantime, I'm going to do a little roll call. Tell me what the sound, what the audio is like on your end. Hi, Kadian. Thanks for coming. Sandra Brown. Big up yourself. Elliston Davis. Good night. Tanisha. Roshane says, good night, my fellow authors. Good night, Roshane. Sam Low. I can hear you. Tanisha, tell me if you can hear me now. Hopefully. All right. So we have on the line with us, for those who are just joining, we have Mrs. Nadia Davis. We get it right this time.
You
She's
did.
telling us about what you see on the title, Modern Day Slavery and You. So we are getting into her profession, what she does, how she advocates for those who are, I don't want to say less fortunate, but persons who are victims to criminal injustice or just injustice overall, partly because they are colored or brown. The last time we spoke about chocolate drops, partly because they're chocolate drops. And she's going to tell us a lot more tonight about how she advocates for these people. All right. So
Right.
Phil said, don't have to shout. Sounding better though. All right. Cool. Cool. Thank you. All right. So you said that it chose you. What was it that actually led you into the direction of advocating for mental health persons? Was it just because they were being locked up because of their mental state, or they were not aware of what was happening to them? They got into trouble and they did not know what they were doing. What was it?
Um, Not so much that they didn't know what they were doing. Um, but they were not getting the correct information, or no one was trying to help them. No one was giving them the information that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they were being treated like criminals,
Mm-hmm.
but um, the mental health part of it was being neglected. But also at the same time, in the, I guess, the government part of it, when the funding left and funding is cut or funding was cut, say for mental health hospitals or mental health facilities, then if when those facilities went away or the facilities closed, then there was nothing to do with those people. So if they showed up at the hospitals and there's no mental health floor or anywhere, or they just called, they were calling the police because those people were causing the scene or they were too loud, or so the police would come, and the police have nothing to do with them, especially if they are homeless or there's nowhere to take them but take them to jail.
Mhm.
Um, and so they were just all ended up in jail. And so they go to jail. They can't do anything with them, put them in solitary confinement or hold them. So basically, it was just a revolving door
Yeah, yeah.
for, and that's just what has happened over time because, of course, we've lost funding over the years and it's just gotten worse and worse. Well, when I started working in the prison system, the first job I got was in um, a lockdown unit. Actually, the very first position I got was in a lockdown unit in a juvenile uh, facility, a juvenile prison for males, um, and it was in a lockdown area for juvenile males, and most of them actually were on psychotropic medications for mental health. And what actually ended up happening is even the, in my opinion, the children, the youth, they were just they were mental health patients who had been on medications for years
Mhm.
since they were 4, 5, 6, 7,
Mhm.
and now they're criminals.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I mean, I started reading, and this is so, and that's just how, I got consumed by trying to figure out what it was. And a lot of them didn't know what their rights were, or if they, their parents didn't know. And so,
So how do you come into the sphere of bringing awareness to mental health patients or people who are locked up then as mental health patients? How do
I,
you help them?
and so the first thing is trying to make sure that people are getting their medications, because if they're not medicated, they're not going to understand anything.
Yeah.
So the first thing is like inside of whatever facility or wherever they are, making sure that they have their medications so that they understand whatever information it is that we're trying to give them. So, say for instance, if someone is in jail now, um, just advocating for them where they are so that they can get the medications that they need, so that they can understand that they can't talk to anyone if they don't have their medication. So starting there, to try to get them what they need so they can understand and communicate with the people that they're there with. That's a start. And
Mhm.
then trying to, from there, trying to understand what happened. How did you get here?
Yeah.
Should you be here?
Yeah.
Are you getting the things you need?
Uh-huh.
Basic things. Are you eating? Do you have a blanket? Are you allowed to take a shower every day? I mean, and I know that sounds, but
Yeah.
you you
Basic
know,
things that they need. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. Are you getting your basic needs met? Because you're a mental health patient. A lot of times, these things aren't being met. Um, because a lot of times they're put into an isolation, and the people who are taking care of them are not doctors, and they're not mental health counselors or anything. They're not trained to deal with them, so they're just locked away. And so it's just trying to make sure that they're getting the things that they need on a daily basis, and they understand what they're supposed to have on a daily basis. They understand that, yeah, you're supposed to take a shower and you're supposed to eat. three times a day, and you know, so and just those basic needs that they're supposed to have.
All right. So for the mental health patients now, after they have been medicated, do you like get them into counseling or some peer groups for recovery or something, and then probably appeal for them to be released? How does that work?
Wow. So if they are, it just depends on like what type of facility they're in, what their charges are,
Yeah.
how serious their charges are,
Mm,
if they have previous charges, because there's something here. So I'm in the state of Texas. So there's actually something called the mental health bond.
mm-hmm,
And if the charge isn't a violent offense,
mm-hmm,
and it's because of Sandra Bland. After Sandra Bland passed away, and there's a bunch of legislation, the Sandra Bland laws, because they finally realized that these jails are not capable
mm-hmm,
of doing the things that they need to do to take care of these people. They don't have the staff to take care of these people. And so since Sandra Bland passed, um, we have mental health bonds, and most states do now.
mm-hmm,
So if this person isn't a violent offender where they would be a threat to society and everyone else, you know, um, and they have somewhere to go, they can most likely get a mental health bond stating that, I'm a mental health patient, and I'm better off home or where, than here. I can go home, I can take my medicines, I can take care of myself. I'm better off there than here. And I'm not a threat to society.
mm-hmm.
And that's always a good thing. They can, now. And the flips, and that's if they're not, a threat to society. If they have somewhere to go, you know, um, if they're not a repeat offender, so there is some criteria for that. Um, if they're eligible, we always request a mental health fund. Um, if that person say is manic, maybe you request they go to be moved from the jail to a hospital. You know,
Yeah.
that's always an option. So there's several different things that can be done,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what the situation is.
Yeah.
It's just each situation typically is different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So it
it's
needs a
just
different remedy.
right. It just depends on the situation. Some people um, have their meds with them. It's like my meds are in my bag. I have a list of them. They were in my bag. I just need them to give it to me. And they
Yeah.
just need someone to say, he said his meds are in his bag. He had a list of them. His psychiatrist is this person. They just need someone else to say it for them,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
know. And
So how does this? Because these mental health patients are being locked up. Yes, I think that maybe, as you said, they should be given a chance. As I said, if they have somewhere to go, if they can stay out of harm's way and not be a great harm to society or people around them. But then, how does this become modern day slavery? Is it just because they are being locked up and the officials know they have a mental disorder or something like that? How does this become modern day slavery? Is it that they're treated harshly when they are locked up? Are they denied certain rights or opportunities as human beings? What makes it modern day slavery?
well, it's not just the mental health patients that makes it modern day slavery. The modern day slavery comes in the American prison system is modern day slavery. When um, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, pretty much basically the states, the plantation owners, everyone was trying to figure out What are we going to do now? We
Mhm.
can't, if the slaves are free, who's going to, who's going to do all this work? Like how, who's going to do all this work? We're not going to do it. Who's going to do all this work? And
Mhm.
so they were trying to figure out what was going to happen with
Yeah.
America. What's going to happen with the economy? How is this going to work? So, for instance, in the state of Louisiana, the state of Texas, um, the state purchased some of the plantations from the plantation owners
Mhm.
to, kind of help them out to keep them from going bankrupt and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The state also paid, like
Yeah.
we're talking about restitution, and black people want our 40 acres and a mule. Well, and a lot of people say we paid restitution. Well, and people don't understand, like, what are you talking about? We didn't get anything. No, black people didn't get anything, but they actually did pay restitution, because what they did is they paid the slave owners who were
Yeah.
losing their slaves. That's where the restitution was paid. So no, we didn't get it, but the government did pay restitution when slavery ended. And so where modern day slavery came in is when the states purchased these plantations, they turned them into prisons. And what they did is they had the slaves who were still there, who were a little reluctant to go out on their own, they had them start building them into jails, and they made them bigger and bigger and bigger into prisons. Well, what they did is they started making little basic things that black people were doing. Everything black people did, just about, other than blinking, was a crime. And they were leasing, it's called prisoner leasing. They were leasing black people out to the plantation owners, to the local people or whatever, to do the same jobs that they were doing before as slaves. And so that's how the prisons that we know now, these big buildings that all of them are old and decrepit now, but that's how they got built. And so that's how the prison system started. It just, one day it was slavery, the very next day that same building was called a prison. And so that's how that system got started. And so over time, they just made laws and changed them, but it's that's what that was. And so, like I said, over time, those laws have kind of changed, but it's essentially they just made slavery kind of legal
Mhm.
once it became illegal. They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
found another way to do it.
Mhm.
So it's that is not necessarily the mental health patients.
Yeah.
That's for anyone in prison, or that's just across the board.
All right. All right.
So for anyone who is in prison, or anyone who is not aware of like what their rights are, or what the, the things that they should be allowed by the Constitution, eh, then you could, get caught up in that system and essentially just be there because you don't know what you're supposed to have or not anyway.
So aside from the mental health patients that we talked about earlier, we're talking about regular people now who may or may not have committed serious crimes.
Right.
And what what now are some of the trends, are some of the things that would say put a man or woman in jail as a black person based on not knowing their rights? What are some of the things that that lead them into prison ignorantly, if I should say that?
Mm, I don't know. A basic thing would be, say, getting pulled over and deciding, because I don't know, you were. You don't think you were speeding, and the cop thinks you were. So you decide, well, I'm not going to give the cop my driver's license. I'm not going to show you my driver's license because I wasn't speeding. Here, failure to identify is a crime. So I wasn't speeding.
Okay.
I wasn't speeding, so I'm not going to give you my driver's license. No, I'm not going to give you my insurance or my registration. Actually, the only thing that, when you're pull over, the only thing that you really have to do here is identify yourself in the automobile that you're driving. And if there's a passenger in the car, you have to identify that person has to identify themselves.
Mhm.
Now, all the extra things, where are you going? Do you know how fast you were driving? Actually, those are the questions you don't have to answer. What you, by law, you have to identify yourself. You have to identify the vehicle, which is the registration and your insurance.
Mhm.
Failure to identify your person
Yeah.
is against the law. Failure to identify the vehicle, failure to identify the other person.
Mhm.
Now, once that person shows their self and the cop says, okay, Mr. Passenger, you don't have any warrants, you're fine. He can say, am I free to go, sir? And the cop can say yes. That person can get out of the car and walk away. Like, okay, I'm walking home. I don't know about Mr. Jobo driver. I'm walking home. He's free to do that. He's free
Yeah.
to go.
All right. So, what are some of the basic things that persons should at least know as it relates to their rights? Just the identification part.
You should always have identification on you, for
Mhm.
sure. Right. Um, you should always know what is considered law of the land. So, for instance, I was born in Louisiana, lived there for years, moved to Texas, moved back to Louisiana, moved to Texas. So I pretty much know the laws in Louisiana and Texas. If you move from this state to the next, learn those laws because they change. Learn the laws where you are.
Yeah.
Um, Learn what your constitutional rights are because for us, they're going to be challenged anyway.
Mhm.
So it's one thing that we're always going to be challenged anyway, but it's completely different if something is being challenged and you're not saying, hey, that's against my constitutional rights.
Mhm.
I need to call my lawyer. But if they're challenging your constitutional rights and you're not even saying anything about it, then they're thinking, well, this person's ignorant to the fact anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and 90% of the time, that's what they're thinking anyway, that we don't know any better. So, know the laws, know your rights. Know, like a lot of times when we're watching these videos on Facebook and Instagram or whatever, and these people are arguing with these cops in these cars,
Mhm.
know your rights.
So, are there any stats as to how many people are being treated unfairly because they are ignorant of their rights? Can you say if you have any stats on that?
No.
Too many to count?
No, but I mean, because that would take the cops saying, I mistreated this person because they didn't know their rights, right? That's where those stats would come from. So,
Okay.
of course, yeah, no, of course not. But majority of people don't know,
Yeah.
they they have no idea. Um, but it's I
Is it?
mean,
Mhm.
what were you about to say?
was about to say, is it a case where it mainly affects the black or the brown chocolate drop community? Or is it for anyone? Does it affect black people more than it does any other race?
Well, it affects us more because we don't have the money to
Mm-hmm.
hire the good attorneys who are going to tell us what our rights are.
Ooh.
And so we don't know our rights. And so then we're going to get a court appointed attorney who
Mm-hmm.
is so busy that they may miss something. Not that they're bad attorneys. That's not what I'm saying. They're so busy because there's so many of us that they may miss something. So if we don't know our rights, where we can say, "Hey, he didn't read me my rights. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
he did XYZ, and that's against my this right. I
Yeah.
have the constitutional right to. We're on our own.
Mm.
Every state does not provide a court appointed attorney.
I hear you.
In the state of Florida, you don't even get a court appointed attorney unless you have to pay a $50 application fee to get a court appointed attorney. In the states of Alabama, Maine, and Utah,
Mm-hmm.
they don't even have a court appointed attorney system. So,
Sad.
right.
Okay. All right. Tell us some more about modern day slavery and you. How does it affect the other regular people outside of the prison walls now who may or may not be prosecuted and sent beyond these walls?
So, even if you don't go to jail, um, first of all, it drives up your taxes.
Mm,
Even if you're wonderfully, well, I don't care. I'm not going to jail. I have a college degree. I have a job. Blah 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 blah. Okay, it's driving up your property taxes.
mm-hmm.
Next time you go buy a car, it affects us all. So
Prison,
yeah, yeah,
them have to work.
yeah.
Jamaicans know what I'm talking about. Them have to work. Go on.
So it's not just them; it's all of us. Um, and so even if it's a mom and her son, when you think about, I feel like this system, and I just because of what I've seen, it affects African American and the Latino females more than any. Let me tell you, the people funding this system is African American and Latino females.
Mm,
These women buy more shoes, more T-shirts, more commissary, more phone minutes, more African American and Latino females are funding this system like completely.
all right. Any questions from you guys? Anyone paying attention? Elliston said police and soldiers are in the place to protect the rich. I'm getting off the live. I'm getting off. All right. So I remember you said something about probable cause in our previous conversation. Tell the viewers
Right.
about that.
So uh, there are these stop and frisk laws
Mm-hmm.
where if you're walking down the street, they can stop you and say, "Well, I have probable cause to search you." I don't know. Sue Ellen was looking out her window and saw a black person walking down the street and decides to call the police because you look suspicious because you're black on a Wednesday. And so the police come and they say they have probable cause to search you. Another example is you decided to smoke weed and get in your car and drive down the street and go 2 miles over the speed limit, so they pulled you over, or you have a broken brake light and they pull you over. Well, the probable cause was that broken brake light. That's why they pulled you over. But when you roll down your window, they smell the marijuana on you. So they do have probable cause. Well, he asked you, can he search your car? And you are belligerent or whatever. Now, one, he really does have probable cause because he smelled the marijuana. That's his probable cause. However, he's asking you, "Can I search your car?"
Mhm.
You and you give him consent. He's going to search your person, and he's going to search your car.
Mhm.
If he smells marijuana, possibly going to take you. May arrest you, may not arrest you, depending on where you are. Um, the thing about it is, don't put yourself in that position.
Mhm.
So, especially if you're in a place where they have the stop and frisk laws, if you know you're going to be walking and you're in a place where marijuana is illegal, don't smoke marijuana and walk down the street. If you're in a place where marijuana is illegal, don't smoke in your car or don't smoke and get into your car and drive.
Mhm.
Don't give them probable cause. But if you're
Yeah.
driving, you don't smell like marijuana, you've done nothing wrong. In order for them to search your car, you have to give them consent.
Mhm.
If you know there's nothing in your car, they have no probable cause, you don't have a broken light, you don't smell like anything, you you, you have to offer consent. And so you have to give them consent. They can't just say, you know, okay, get out the car, I'm gonna search your car, but you have to give them consent. And so that's another thing. But again, that goes back to knowing your rights. Although it's probable cause is
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
law, it goes back to knowing your rights.
One thing again, is it that the policies and procedures that govern each state? I know that here in Jamaica there is a website, something another that gov, a government website that we can Google, go
Mhm.
on it and read whatever it is that the government gives us access to. Is it the same thing for the states in America? Is it that persons? Because I find that some of these policies and procedures that the common man is supposed to live by is kind of hard to read. Some of these words are considered big or ginormous, and it's beyond our capacity to understand fully, unless we have a lawyer friend, cousin, auntie, nephew somewhere that can go over it for us and say, it's not feline, it's actually cat. Oh, you get me?
Right,
So
right.
break it down. So is it that it's easily accessible? Is it something that persons who are considered dunce or not so brilliant can read? People who are slow, can they read it? Are the mental health persons able to comprehend what these laws require of them so that they won't be locked up?
Um, no, they're not put in. The laws are written the same way, like all of the extra words and all of the extra jargon that
Yeah.
shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're written the same way here. Um, but um, it's not. I don't think it's in a way that's so so bad that it's not interpretable. I don't think. Um, but yeah, they're written the same way here. They're just. I think they can be interpreted pretty much though.
So when I watch movies, I've always heard. Let me tell you, I heard this on Nadia once that what she wasn't Mirandized. So when a person is being locked up, they are supposedly read or given their rights and all of
Right.
that, what they should and should not do. If
Right.
in the event that a person is being locked up or accused of a crime and they're being taken to be locked up, and the officer somehow forgets to give them that right, is there an exception then that is made for persons seeing that they weren't given their rights, or them just expect you to know even if the cop doesn't tell you?
No, they're not expected to know. They're not expected to know, but that's another thing. So if you don't, but if you don't know that the cop is supposed to give you your rights,
Yeah.
then who's going to tell your lawyer that the cop didn't give you tell you your rights? So when you go to court, how does the lawyer know that the cop didn't give you your rights? Because if you don't know your rights, you don't know that you were supposed to get your rights.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that, and so then here you go blabbing and telling all him all this information, and so he never told you that you had the right to remain silent, and so you told him all of this information, and so he's going to use all of this against you and put all of this in the report that you told him you were guilty. You're going
Yeah.
to go to court, and so, but he never told you that you have the right to remain silent, and um but you don't know. So you don't tell your lawyer, well, he didn't tell me that, because you don't know your rights.
So I see some comments here. So Elliston says, in America, the police and soldiers are in to protect the white people, not the black. They don't want the common man to understand. That's when we were talking about the law.
Right.
And he says they want you to be ignorant so that you can break the law. And they want to, I assume he's saying, play with you. Yeah.
Right. And so that's why you have the responsibility to learn these things so for yourself. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't care if you don't know the law. They don't care if you don't know your rights. They don't care if you don't know, you know, that's just like right now. If you think about um here in America, what I don't know, in 1901, what were they fighting for? You know, equal rights for blacks, civil rights, voting rights. What were they fighting for last week? Equal rights for blacks, civil rights, voting rights, like the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It has not, like, seriously, like the exact same thing. It has not changed.
Yeah.
So, and but still we have black people today who don't understand that you have to educate yourself. Like there's things you need to, like there's things that black people need to do to make this to make these changes. Like the white people aren't going to change it for us. They're not going to do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. And why should they? But so we still have to convince black people
Mm-hmm.
that there's something we should be fighting for. And so that's the problem. We are still trying to convince black people that you need to know your rights. We still have to convince black people that um, you know, black people are in some places still having issues when they go to the polls to vote. Like black people are still having issues not being able to have equal rights. Like we shouldn't have to still be telling black people this. So if we're having a hard time convincing black people,
Yeah.
then of course white people don't care because white people don't care.
So, what are some of the things that you would wish the victims of this criminal justice system knew, so that would prevent them from being locked up or being jailed? What do you wish that they had known? What are some of the rights that you wish they had known,
The rights.
or history, anything that you believe
I
that
just
if
wish
they had known
I,
it, it
maybe
changed?
that they have another choice.
Yeah.
There's always something else.
Mhm.
Um, that that everything that you do, that as adults you have the option. You're always able to choose to do whatever you want to do, right, wrong, or indifferent, and you're able to do that. But you're
Mhm.
not able to choose the consequences of that
Yeah.
action. And so when you're choosing, you have
Mhm.
to choose wisely
Yeah.
because here, we can choose. You can, yes, you're an adult. People say all the time, "I'm an adult. I can do what I want to." You sure can, but you cannot choose the consequence of that action.
Mhm.
And people don't think that way. They don't think through to the consequence. They're thinking right now, and they're not thinking all the way through to the consequence of their actions.
Yeah. All right. And I remember when I asked you about what you stood for, if you had like a favorite mantra or something, you say, do something. What does that mean? Do something.
Do something like whether it's learn your rights, whether it's teach a child about their rights, whether it's show a child a, a film about civil rights movement and say, hey, this is why they're doing this. This is why they're still marching. This is why it's so important that you
Yeah.
vote. This is why it's so important that you go to school every day because these people weren't even allowed to go to school. These people weren't even allowed to read. Do something, do something. Like, um, for all the people who weren't allowed to do anything
Mhm.
and we're allowed to do so much. There's so much you can do. Do something. But, there's so many people who will say, well, it's so horrible. Look at that George Floyd. Look what they did to that young man. It's so horrible. And that's the end of it. But what are you going to do about it?
Mhm.
I mean, you can do something.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Well, like, what is your thing? So I wrote a book. So I've been sitting here during Corona and I wrote a book. And so I want to, I'm going to, of course, I work here and I talk to a lot of people. But what is your something? Are you going to teach a child about um, their rights or teach a child how not to get in trouble or teach a child how to do better or teach it? But what is your something? Like something, not some things, something, like one thing. What is your thing? Just do something.
Yeah. All right. Do something, guys, based on what you heard tonight. What are you going to do? Most of you are also in Jamaica. What are you going to do? Are you going to try to know your rights? Are you going to read more? Are you going to ask questions about something you don't understand? Because I can't be the only one reading GOV policies and procedures and don't know what the hell they're saying. But we
Right,
have to do something. What you going to do? I'm going to read more. I have to know my rights. I don't live in America, but I see how important it is because a lot of persons have fallen victim
right.
treacherously because, ignorance. And them always say if you want to hide something from the black man, as they said earlier, you put it in a book.
Put it in a book.
I believe that all that you've done is basically highlighted what we ought to know as colored people, as chocolate drops, brown people whom God loves, what we should know, what we should do, who our advocates are, what our rights are, what our history is. And so I'm toning it down, guys. I'm getting ready for the meat of the night. We are in 50 minutes and 50 seconds. So thank you guys for tuning in so far. Stay tuned for the giveaway. I'm sure Nadia has her question prepared. Just say something in the comments what you have done from the live so far. I believe Nadia is getting ready. Do you have anything else you want to share with us as it relates to modern slavery and you, or fear and prejudice?
Um,
Tell us about the prize.
so I have several. I have a copy of the book. Can you see that? Okay. I have a copy of the book. I was trying to think. There was one more thing that I don't remember what it was though. Um, I don't know. Anyway, Shanique, I cannot hear you.
I think my mic
Okay.
was on mute. Go ahead, just continue. Tell us about what the prize is, the story or inspiration behind the
The,
seeds.
so the seeds in the mud. There is a flower, the lotus flower, and the lotus flower is or or where why I chose the title "The Seeds in the Mud" is because lotus flowers, the seeds are planted in mud, or they're just dropped in mud. You don't have to do anything to them. You don't have to fertilize them. They're just dropped in the mud. And like muddy puns, you just drop them in the mud. And what happens is over time, eventually, they just come up, um, come up through the mud, and they push through the mud to the top of the water. But they kind of sit like right under the surface of the water until the sun comes out. And when the sun comes out, the flowers push through the surface of the water and they bloom. And so when they push through the surface of the water, no matter how muddy or how dirty the seeds were, and how much whatever algae or whatever is on the surface of the water, they always bloom just crystal clear. There's no mud, there's nothing on the flower. It's the most beautiful flower. And so I think that's um, it speaks to the human experience that you can go through so many things. You can go through the mud, you can go through the water, but if you continue to grow and reach for the sun, like you don't have to look like the things that you've been through. Um, and so many times people go through a lot of things, but when we look at that person, we don't see the things that that person has been through, and um, and so that's where the title comes from, "Seeds in the Mud."
All right, thank you for that.
Thank
Guys,
you.
just type ready for those who are, if you have been enjoying the live stream so far. I hope you have. I've learned a lot. Believe me, it is important to know your history as well as your rights. Type ready for those who are ready. I see even the silent viewers who are not talking. Just say ready. I'm giving you a chance to expose yourself to knowledge, not just local knowledge, but knowledge elsewhere. Give yourself this opportunity to understand what other people face, even in a different culture, in a different country. Black people are everywhere and no one is immune to injustice and being treated as criminals. You get me? We are all sometimes treated as if we don't know anything at all and as if we don't belong. But give yourself the opportunity tonight. Invite someone to participate. and let's get the ball rolling. You know, I always have music. So give me a sec, guys. Let me change my tag. So it's that time of the evening. Even if that's the only thing you're here for, thank you for coming. Enjoy your presence. Right. So my tag is changed. Just type ready in the comments. I am aware of the delay on YouTube, so I know that YouTube persons might get the message a little later. So guys, if you are still here and you're ready to participate in the giveaway, just type ready so I can know that you are here. Ready, just say ready. So Elliston is ready. Who else is ready? Just say ready. Let me know that you're paying attention. Who is ready? Guys, come now, man. We don't have all night. All right, so I'm going to let Nadia ask her question. In the meantime, I'm going to give you guys a minute to answer, or however long, and then I'll stop the music. So go ahead and ask your question, Nadia.
Okay. Do all states offer attorneys for their clients once arrested?
One more time.
Do all states offer attorneys when for criminals once arrested?
Do all states offer attorneys for criminals once they are arrested? So get ready, guys. 30 seconds. Do all states offer attorneys once someone is arrested? What's your answer? 3 seconds. Two, one. So 60 seconds. We have an answer from Floretta Lewis. She says yes.
You want me to respond? Is that our only answer?
That's the only answer so far, guys. Do all states offer attorneys once someone is arrested? One person answered so far saying yes. Next person. Any other answer? Is yes the only answer? Is it yes, no, maybe so? Anybody think maybe? Possibly? I don't know.
Kind of, sort of.
Anybody else? Yeah, kind of, sort of. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Come now, people. We don't have all night. Ask the question again.
Do all states offer court appointed court appointed attorneys for criminals when they're arrested?
Do all states offer court appointed attorneys for criminals once they are arrested? Let's go. I'm waiting for the answers. Nobody wants the prize. This is serious. 20 seconds. Look like I'm here to go win it. All right, so the second minute is up. So we have two answers. Floretta Lewis says yes, the court, all states offer court appointed attorneys for criminals once they are arrested. Elliston says no, all states do not offer court appointed attorneys when the criminals are arrested. The answer from Nadia.
Is no, all states do not offer court appointed attorneys. Um, Alabama, Maine, and Utah do not. And Florida actually charges a $50 application fee um, for a court appointed attorney. And if it's a misdemeanor trial, um, you're not even allowed to have like a misdemeanor trial where you may not be arrested for it. They don't even allow an attorney to come to court with you in Florida.
All right,
So
thank
yeah.
you for that clarity and for that reinstatement. So, guys, thank you for participating in the giveaway. Congratulations to tonight's winner, Elliston Davis.
That
Big
was
up yourself. Thank you for participating, Florita Lewis. Better luck next time. And please try to come earlier because she said she was late. I believe that's why the wrong answer came first. But better luck next time. So at Elliston, seeing that you are a regular viewer on tonight's live, on the live stream, please submit your winner speech. So he says I will give it to Florita Lewis. That's a
aw.
sweetheart. That is fine. So you guys can discuss how you are going to give her the gift for coming. Thank you both for participating. I'm waiting on the winner's speech, giving you a couple seconds. All right. So Nadia, you have any song selection you want me to play for you?
For me, no.
All right. So I'm going to drop a Damian Marley until Elliston sends me his speech. So come Elliston, hurry up, please. We don't have all night. May I drop the first 30 seconds? She said, thanks, bro. So for the winner, I usually recommend that you send me an email to TalkTruth Series at talktruthseries@gmail.com. Thank you guys for participating. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Very informative, and I hope that Miss Florita Lewis, that you will enjoy the book, seeing that you are over in the States. I trust that you will gain a lot from reading it. Please remember to give Nadia your feedback and give her a wonderful review when you're done. Recommend it to your friends and family so they can make their purchase as well. Elliston, please send me the speech. Drop the tune now. First 30 seconds, Damian Marley, Slave Mill. think it's his speech is here. Thank you. Really, really no. My wife, the host, God and family. Cool. You're welcome. All right, big up yourself. Now that we are at the end of the show, now that we're at the end of the show, do you have any last words for us, Mrs. Davis?
Um, oh, that's hilarious. I don't know your husband. That's hilarious. Um, no. I just seriously, just everybody know your rights. Like that's really important. To learn your rights, know your rights, teach your children your rights. Read, teach your children the importance of reading,
Mm-hmm.
and just continuing to educate themselves. That's something that they can always have. No one can ever take from them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's yeah, right. And so as long as you're living, you should always be learning and
Yes.
do something.
Do something.
Right,
Do
right.
something.
Do something.
Yeah. Do
Right.
something. So guys, do something by by reaching out to Miss Nadia Davis. You can find her by email. You can hit her up on Facebook. You can add her, follow her Instagram page at post underscore number 2B underscore healed, and on Twitter, Black Lotus like.
Right.
Mrs. Davis, you're married to my cousin. Ha! Ha ha. Funny. Funny.
Pro- Probably.
Funny. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to drop the last 30 seconds of the song. I wish you all the best, Mrs. Davis. Thank you for coming out tonight and participating on tonight's live. We will definitely keep in touch.
Thank
Florida
you.
says, thanks, ladies. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. Please come back. I'm looking for every single one here to be back here on Thursday. Same time, same place. We're going to be having a poetry night. If you want to participate in the poetry night, send me a message, send me a direct message on Messenger. You can, if you have my number, text me and ask me something. I'll give you more details. But we're having a poetry night. If you want to be a part of it, please let me know so I can add you to the list. Prizes and surprises again, guys.
That's it.
All right. Prizes and surprises coming on Thursday. So thank you for tuning in. Big up yourselves. Have a great rest of your night. Lord be with you all. Thank you, Mrs. Davis, for coming.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Davis, for having me. Mrs. and Mr. Davis, thank you so much.
And have a
Thank you,
great
guys. Thank you, everyone.
bye.
Good night.
All right, guys. Good night. No more. See you the next time. Remember to come back Thursday night. Big up on yourself. Good night.